Welcome to the Best of White Rock, where we sit down with the standout business owners, community leaders, and entrepreneurs shaping life here in White Rock and South Surrey for the better. These are their stories behind the people driving real change in our community. Hosted by me, Darren German of the German Group. Jen, I am so grateful to have you on the Best of White Rock. When we did your kind of intake call, it was so interesting to learn about your business and the people that you've been able to help through your business as you've kind of grown it and expanded it and taken on lots of new clients and stuff like that. This is the Best of White Rock, and I'm so excited to introduce you to the community. Please introduce yourself. Let everybody know who you are and what you do.
Okay. Well, I'm Jen Klassen. I'm the founder of Threshold Coaching. So I do life and personal development coaching, mainly designed towards women over 50. That's kind of my sweet spot and my passion. And beyond that, I also have developed a program for women navigating the emotional terrain of a parent with dementia called Daughters of Dementia. And so that's something that I've developed and that's growing as well. And I love my work and I love doing it in White Rock.
Yeah, well, there's so many great things to unpack there. So how did you get into coaching? Like where did this come from? Is there a story there that led you down this road?
Yeah, there is. So I started coaching about 5 years ago. And so my story is I was a late in life student. I decided in my 40s to go back to university. And I graduated with a degree in leadership, but had no idea what to do with it. So I hired a coach for myself. And it was through doing coaching with him, I think it was by the end of the first session, where I realized, I want to do what you're doing. So I got my coaching certification and I started with that. It was the first time I'd ever worked with a coach as opposed to a therapist.
Okay. And what's the difference just for people that are...
So I love my therapists and I wouldn't be who I am without them. So as a coach, we don't focus on trauma processing or childhood processing. We take where we are now, we decide, or you decide where you want to move forward, and then we figure out how to move you forward to where you want to go. So that is the main difference between coaching and therapy.
Okay.
So there I started my coaching business, but I wasn't sure how to grow this business. And I didn't know how to show up online on social media either. It terrified me. So I was really riddled with a lot of insecurity. And it was at this time that I decided, instead of leaning into that insecurity, I'm going to run from it. And I ran into a salary job, which I don't think there's any mistakes in life. I learned a lot, learned how to run a business. I was able to develop all of the leadership skills I'd learned about while I was leading my team. And I also did a lot of coaching while I was leading that team. So like I said, there's no mistakes in life. And the other thing that this position gave me was the financial resources I needed to leave a relationship that I really wanted to leave. And through this, I started creating a life that I really wanted and that I really loved. And that's why I've come back to coaching, because that's my first love. That's where I want to go. So it's really, it's been a long, winding road. And in the last year, I'm back in coaching and I'm just trying to create the best life I can possibly create for my next chapter.
Well, and that's so exciting, because when people have a story like that, where they've gone through their own trials and tribulations and challenges and have come out the other side, it almost helps them relate to you a little bit and kind of understand where you're coming from and seeing how you've gone from where you were to the success that you've been able to generate through your coaching program. It's exciting for them, because they think one day I can do what Jen did. If Jen can do it, I can do it. Right?
Exactly. And I think back to 5 years ago, I really wanted to help women reclaim agency in their lives, but I see how I didn't always have that myself. And I feel like I am better equipped to guide women through that now. Not that I'm an expert in, by no means. I'm still doing it. I'm still on the journey. But I always say, I'm not going to give you the map. I'm going to shine a light and you're going to create your map.
Well, that's a really good point, because coaching and agency are two very interconnected things. So what do you notice when people come in relation to maybe agency and how that relates to coaching and how you can really help them?
So, well, in my work specifically, I do a lot of work with women over 50 who have maybe outgrown old identities and old roles in their lives.
Give me an example of that. What do you mean by that?
We call it the second act.
Okay.
So here we are. We've spent our whole lives often following the script that was given to us when we were kids. Not realizing that we have any authority to flip that script and create a life we actually want. And most of the time that life was really good, but at some point what you've always been doing stops working for you.
Right.
And you want to grow and you want to move. So that's where we're at. And so there is and no matter what the change is, there's always a cost to staying and there's always a cost to moving ahead. It's discovering that no matter what you choose, it's a choice. And sometimes a person is going to say, well, I want to do this thing, but I just can't right now. I don't have the emotional, mental, financial resources to do the thing I really want. And that changes the work then, because then it becomes about, well, okay, so you are making an empowered choice to stay. How can you stay here in the most empowered way you can and make this good and build towards that thing you want eventually when the time comes? So, yeah, does that answer that?
It does, yeah. And so when people show up, do you find that there's just these chains that they're dragging along from the
For sure.
past? And is it helping them really shake those and form that new identity, or what's?
It is. It's fear. It's fear of change. We don't know what we don't know. And there's old scripts that we've always followed that no one has told us. Those are scripts someone wrote for you. Those are scripts the culture wrote for you. You don't have to live by anybody else's script. You get to make your own.
Right.
And we don't always know we have the permission to do that.
Explain permission, because for the people listening to that, they really have to give themselves permission. Is that where you're going with that?
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's self-permission.
Yeah.
We typically wait for permission from everybody else. And we don't know. We don't have to do that.
Yeah. Well, coaching's such an interesting thing, because I often think back to high school and when I think of coaching, and you'd see, or maybe early 20s or whatever, but you'd see a friend who maybe, as an example, was in a relationship, and everyone around them can see that it's not working, or it's not healthy, or it's not good for whatever reason, except for the person right in the middle of it. They're the only ones that they've got those kind of horse blinders on, sort of thing. And when you come in and you step in as a coach, you're 30,000 feet up in the sky and saying, wow, we need to do some mindset shifts here. We need to do some perspective shifts.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing is real meaningful change doesn't come from trying to conquer a problem or fix yourself. It comes from pausing and stepping back and starting to notice the patterns. And so typically, well, for an example, often people think coaching is about improving performance. But what we know is that the feedback you're getting in one arena, say at work, is similar to the feedback you're usually getting at home.
Okay.
From a partner or kids or friends or whatever. Coaching is about finding the thread that weaves that pattern throughout your whole life. So when we step back and notice, here's the thing that happens and here's the thing I always do. If we can just pause and take a second, that's where emotional intelligence lives. And that's where real change lives. And if we can widen that gap, we widen our emotional intelligence, we widen our ability to lead ourselves, to really decide how we want to show up in our lives and in our relationships. That pause is where relationships change, where meaningful change happens, where you learn to lead yourself and then you learn to lead others, because everyone wants to follow a leader who knows how to manage and lead themselves. Themselves.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful thought. So when people come to you, do you see really common themes of things that they're challenged with? Because you have more of a specific clientele that tend to gravitate towards you. Not to say like you take on all clients.
Yeah.
But you have more. It tends to be more women over 50. You had mentioned.
Yeah. And typically, in that phase of life, like I said, we've outgrown identities and roles that have served us but aren't serving us anymore. And often I see it's marriages, and careers. So they want a meaningful second act. And so whether it's deepening a relationship and making it better by starting on the work on yourself, or whether it's I actually don't want to do this career anymore. I haven't wanted to do it for a very long time. I want something completely different, but I don't even know what I want. Well, let's start dreaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's so difficult for people to step back on their own and to identify some of the things that you help pull out of them?
I think it's fear of change, fear that that thing they want, what it might ask of them. It might ask that you leave some old ways behind, and it will probably ask that you step very courageously into new things. And I think it's fear that holds us back. Yeah. And like we were talking about before, the fear of what other people will think.
That's a big one.
It's a big one. Yeah.
Why are we so scared of what other people think? Is it back to like tribalism and we're worried about the getting kicked out of the tribe? And
Probably.
for ourselves,
it's about belonging, I think. Yeah, about belonging. But what I find with the women I work with, when they step deeper into who they actually are, deeper into themselves, they learn to belong to themselves. We find belonging inside of us. If we don't feel like we belong on the inside, if we don't belong to ourselves, we're never going to feel like we belong on the outside.
Right.
So I'm always pointing people back towards themselves, deeper in.
When people go through this sort of transformation with you, what happens to their alignment for themselves?
Yeah, alignment. That's a good word. Their thoughts, their actions, the way that they want to live their life inside matches how they're living on the outside.
That just must be like
freedom.
That's
freedom.
It must be like weight off the shoulders.
Yes.
Just like it's a second act, a rebirth, whatever you're gonna call it.
It's so hard to get there. Like I think of the infinity loop, the infinity symbol.
Sure.
So there's that little squishy part in the middle, and it's so uncomfortable and it's so hard, but change happens outside of it, and you shoot out to the other side. Your world continues to expand, and naturally you're going to come right back into that squishy space again, because that's life. Yeah.
Well, and even when people start getting uncomfortable with the uncomfortable and challenging their belief sets and whatnot, that doesn't mean that they're just off to the races. There's other challenges and beliefs that need to be adjusted and questioned and challenged.
And that's really important, what you said, becoming uncomfortable with the uncomfortable. And that's when a coach is really, really helpful, because they can sit with you in that messy, uncomfortable spot that maybe the people around you aren't going to welcome or think is okay. But a supportive coach will sit with you there and be uncomfortable with you.
So who's the type of people that you find gravitate towards you the most, and what are their typical challenges that you're finding?
It's typically women who are on a second, wanting to find a meaningful second chapter in life, and just don't know how to do it, don't know where to start. Maybe they have dreams, maybe they have old dreams not realized, and think it's too late to start anything. And I always say, when I went back to school when I was 42, I also was not sure if I was too old to start something new.
Sure.
But someone said to me, Jen, eventually you're going to be 50. You're going to be 50 with a degree or 50 without a degree. You just got to decide what version of that you want to be.
Isn't that powerful?
Yeah, totally. And I'm 51 and I chose the Jen I wanted to be. And I'm still choosing it.
That's great. So, and this has led to some really neat things. And I'd love for you to unpack the daughters with dementia. Not daughters with dementia.
Daughters of Dementia. So this is a program I created for women based on my own experience with my parent with dementia. It is a wild terrain of emotion, and typically in this phase of life, when a woman has a parent diagnosed with dementia, we're also juggling careers and families of our own. So we're the sandwich generation, right? There's a lot that we're navigating and a lot we're managing, and there's not a lot of space to deal with our own grief and loss. And with dementia, it's just a lot of ongoing grief and loss for a really long time. And we can lose ourselves in that. And so Daughters of Dementia is a supportive place to navigate that grief and loss with other women along the same journey, finding actually agency in that part of the journey too, because you can really lose your identity in caregiving. And although you can't change the diagnosis, because that train is going to go where it's going to go, you can decide how you're going to show up in that season of your life. And so Daughters of Dementia is a place to navigate grief and loss, to decide how you're going to show up for yourself during that time, and then as a result for everybody around you as well.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Your point about getting lost in your almost identity you assume as a caretaker, rather than forgetting you still have this whole other life, family, job, career,
and your own personal, and you're still your own person.
Right. Yeah. So when people come to this, is it like a group sort of setting, or it is? Okay. Yeah.
It's a group setting. I'm currently doing the White Rock location now, so the registration for that one is closed. I've got another one coming up in Abbotsford, and I'm working on a virtual series that I'll offer probably at the end of April. And then I'm just kind of going all over the Lower Mainland. I know there's a lot of interest in Vancouver, and women love, I mean, it's easy to gather on Zoom and do it virtually, but I know that women also really love to gather in person and be together, especially on a journey like this. You just need people around you who get it.
Yeah, well, and even having that community of people talking about what they're going through, because everyone probably bottles up their experience and thinks it's unique, and it is unique to them.
In some ways it is, yeah. They say that if you've met a person with dementia, you've met one person with dementia, and same with families. If you've met one, you've met one. Every story is unique, but there are some common threads for sure.
The people that come out of this, I mean, the gratefulness that they just must feel of getting out of their bubble and realizing that there's other people experiencing this, and there's help out there, and even maybe just to verbalize what they're going through. You must have seen some incredible transformations.
For sure. And to have like that space of 2 hours, so it's about 2 hours every night or once a week for 2 hours, to have that space to just process your own emotions and grief is life-changing for them. It reminds them that they have a life outside of caregiving, and there's freedom.
Well, that's so rewarding. That's so great that you've done that, because what a resource. Like, there's people in the community that really need that, and this is a great way to let them know that it even exists out there. So we'll of course make sure all your stuff's linked in the show notes. But I want to pivot back to the coaching for you a little bit more. Coaching, I always wonder what people think they understand coaching is versus what the reality of it is, if that makes sense. Like, when I have a coach for my real estate business. I've had it for 20 years. I coach realtors as an example, but people really understanding that you're not there to do the work, but you're there to pull the best out of them and get out of their own head and that sort of thing. What's some of the most rewarding outcomes you've seen out of the people that you've been able to help?
Well, I don't want to scare anyone, but I've seen people leave relationships that they have felt stuck in for a long time. Although, like I said, that small part, that squishy, uncomfortable part is so hard, but what's waiting on the other side is so rewarding for these people who want that. And I would say the most rewarding outcome would be, I've seen women leave careers and start something incredibly new, create a job that they want. And I would say more than anything, the biggest reward is seeing people have a sense of agency over their own lives.
Empowering that must be for people.
The freedom.
You must just like assume like faux family members from doing this, because you get so close and personal with people as you do it. I'm sure, right?
It's the best work. I mean, what I love the most about my job is the people I meet. So clients for sure are my favorite. I absolutely love that work. But also through just the breadcrumbs that I follow from one person to the next. For example, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation if not for the work you do and the work that I do. And it's been such a unexpected joy to meet the people I've met through coaching beyond the clients that I meet.
What's one of the biggest misconceptions that you feel people have about coaching?
About coaching? I would say that a lot of people assume that coaching is about improving performance.
So they think it's like, whether it's sports or mindset or
or like work, I want to hit these targets. And I think in the past, that's how it was. It was really about improving performance. But what we know now, like I mentioned, is there are patterns and threads throughout a person's life. And what a coach wants is not just for you to be successful at work or successful at this one thing, but to be successful in your relationships in all of life. We want you to succeed as a human and develop as a human and learn to lead yourself so you can hit those targets that you want to hit.
Yeah.
Work and home.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So it's not just about performance. It's a whole area of your life.
It's about personal development. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so when people come to you, do you find that they're usually kind of pigeonholed in one specific spot, and then as you explore with them, they tend to unwind
and
a little bit?
that's a lot of fun. Typically, when we start our coaching sessions, and it'll be usually the first few sessions where we're circling the drain on the choices that they think they have. And then there'll be this moment where they go, oh, hang on, but I could do something completely different. And you see that shift and their face lights up and it's like, I am not stuck in these three choices that I thought I had.
Right.
There is like way more out there. And that's super exciting.
What's the hardest part for you being a coach? What do you find the most challenging thing when you, whether it's a new client or somebody that's been with you for existing, what sort of stuff do you struggle with?
I am always nervous at the beginning. Typically I'll have like a consultation with a client before we agree that we'll work well together.
Sure.
But there's always that fear of what if this time I have nothing to give? It's the imposter syndrome. And I know I'm not alone there. I've talked to a lot of coaches and we're all in the same boat there. My challenge is my own head.
Yeah.
But once I can get out of my head and develop the relationship, that's the gold right there.
Yeah. Well, and I know in talking for me too, like such a big piece of a coach's role is not to diagnose necessarily, and not to prescribe, but to like understand.
Yeah.
Right. And you can't fix a problem or help fix a problem anyways until you really understand.
Got to understand the whole person.
Yeah. And part of that is just really asking great questions
being curious, not making assumptions that your story is their story. And believing them when they tell you.
Yeah. Not making assumptions is a big piece of that, because everyone's got, as your point, their own story. They're coming from their own place. They've got their own reality in their head that may or may not exist. I totally feel that. And they probably have reservations when they first get into it, because they're really giving a lot of trust to you.
Yeah. And for me, I always say, like, there is no judgment. Here are your choices. There's no judgment what you can choose to stay or you can choose to do this new thing. Just know that each one is a choice and there's a cost to each one. And I'm just here to support you. I'm not going to judge you if you stay and if you don't change the thing you need to change. I've been there. Where I've had to stay for years doing something I didn't want to do, somewhere I didn't want to be, and I had to wait for the right time. And my therapist at the time was like, Jen, I love you either way. But just know you're making a choice here.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Well, Jen, this is the best of White Rock. So as someone's listening to this interview on the podcast, or they're watching it on YouTube, or they're looking at the short form, whatever that might be, what would you want them to know about if they were considering getting into coaching and, they saw Threshold Coach or they think about reaching out? What would be the one thing that you'd want them to know?
I would say that the first step is knowing that you're capable of doing a lot more than you think you're capable of doing, and knowing that you're capable of great change, even though it's really scary. I remember being in my 20s and 30s and hearing older women in their 50s, like me, saying, just wait till you get to your 50s. You don't care what other people think. It's so free over here. And I wanted that. But I never actually thought that was possible for me, because I was really wrapped up in what the whole world thought of me.
Right.
But they were right. And the change and the journey to freedom asked a lot of me. But it's really beautiful on the other side. And we're capable of much more than we think we are.
That is so great. I love that. Well, Jen, it's been a real pleasure. If people want to get a hold of you, we'll have all your information in the show notes, but how do they find you?
Yeah, through my website. So that's thresholdcoaching.ca. They can find me there. They can reach out to me there. And I've got my email is jenrennertcoach@gmail.com. So happy to chat with anybody.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. And one last thing for the people of White Rock, you are running such an incredible service for people that really, really need it. Is there anything you want the people of White Rock to know? I know you're a recent new resident of the city of White Rock.
I am. I love White Rock. I love all the connections I've made with small business owners and nonprofit, people who work in nonprofit. What do I want them to know? Like, come talk to, I love talking to people and not work related. I just love meeting people and chatting. So let's have a coffee.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, good reason to reach out, you know, and if they're struggling with something, it's in a compassionate, non-judgmental, non-assumptive way. And if it works to be a good fit, because they can certainly be better than in a better spot tomorrow than they are today.
Yeah.
That's a pretty rewarding thing to think about. Jen, I want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.